Hi friends. So when matches are not living up to the expectation and they are turning out to be completely one-sided and cricket is not very exciting, there is always the chatter around cricket or of cricket, which is there already too much spicy in current situation to keep the discussion going and the buzz going. And today the same thing has happened. India played a completely one-sided match against Pakistan. India almost ramped home like as if they were playing against an ordinary side, and there was hardly any thrill or excitement in the match. Both the teams were clearly playing at a different level. There was glaring daylight between the two teams. There was clear superiority of India over Pakistan man to man in terms of talent, skill set, and execution. So the match turned out to be a damn squib, and there was nothing worth actually enjoying the match other than just being happy that our own team India won. So there was not much excitement. People were clearly disappointed because at the end of the day, people want their own team or their home team to win, but they want also a great contest, a thrilling contest, so that they can enjoy it. But that was not going to be yesterday, and that doesn't seem to be like happening in the future also. If both the teams play in the Super 4 and if both the teams reach final, but that doesn't mean there is not much talk or there is not much buzz around the two teams in the social media, and it has come out because of the decision by Indian team led by the captain Surya Kumar Yadav to not shake hand with the Pakistani captain Salman Agha before the match started, that is during or after the toss, and also for not shaking hands and for following the protocol that one usually sees when the match gets over and after India won the match. So they refused to shake hands. They went back to their pavilion. They shut their dressing room. They didn't allow the Pakistani team or Pakistani captain to come and congratulate or shake hands. And there has been a lot of debate and discussion going on and lot of chatter going on. And again, opinion has been completely divided. Some are hailing it, some are enjoying it, some are celebrating it, and some are considering it a little unfortunate and embarrassing because they feel that protocols is something should not have been violated. Now I just wanted to have my 2 cents on it, and my point is that if I go back to go back to the history of sports, I see there are two sides to it. I see examples of both kinds of behaviors. In 1936, at the height and the peak of enmity between USA and Nazi Germany, when the Olympics was held in Germany, Louis Long, the German long jumper who was representing the Nazi Germany, uh, came and hugged Jesse Owens after Jesse Owens beat him for the long jump gold. And he hugged him, and his statement was that I am sharing my elation, I am sharing my happiness with a fellow great athlete who has achieved something great, and I have nothing but praise for him and I wanted to hug him. So this is one example which is there between two enemy countries where one was hugging the other, because both were athletes, both were representing their countries, but they were still athletes playing in an Olympic event which was talking about sport being all about friendship and spreading warmth and love. At the same time, in the 2025 Australian Open, there was Elena Vitolina, the Ukrainian women's tennis player, who beat Veronika Kudermetova, the Russian tennis player, to reach the quarterfinal. And after the match, she celebrated. She actually was so happy and glad that she screamed at the top of her voice, but she refused to shake hand with Veronica. And her logic was that very clear, that when the country, my opponent's country, is slaughtering my people in a war, and I have seen my friends and relatives being killed, how can I go and shake hand with a player, with a person who is representing the enemy country, who is ravaging my country? So there is nothing like right and wrong here. There is nothing like an absolute or uh, or say Bible type truth in this, that whether one should follow protocol and shake hands or one should not. So it's very difficult to blame anybody for that or praise anybody for that. So my opinion also would be the same, that to each to his own. If one decides or the team decided not to shake hands, it's okay. If they had shaken hands, I would have been perfectly happy with it. But my only point of contention or my only issue is about the intent behind this, because one is the action where I am absolutely okay with whatever action Indian team would have taken or Surya Kumar Yadav would have taken. But my problem is with the intent, because it is very difficult to really put factually or put an evidence to point out the intent, but there are certain circumstantial things which can make you start believing that the intent might not have been purely patriotism or purely love for the country in terms of the martyrs or in terms of the people who have lost their lives or even for the army. Because if that was the case, protocol following or not following protocol or shaking or not shaking hands would be a minor thing. The first thing could have been done by this Indian team, and if the captain is supposed to be a statesman or his person must be on just a player, because he expressed his views in the press conference yesterday also telling ki yes, it is a tribute to our country, to our army, to the martyrs who lost their lives and things like that. So if he's taking that stand that he wants to be a spokesperson on behalf of the the cricketing fraternity, or if he has a statesman-like view, then much more is expected, and this is a much smaller thing, because the much more obvious thing he could have done if you had to take a chance or had taken a stand for this was to ask a very polite questions to BCCI that what about the whole rationalization of playing a match against Pakistan if we consider them as our enemy state and if they have butchered our people by sending terrorists. And remember, I am not questioning India playing against Pakistan or playing in the Asia Cup. I am very clear in that in a multinational tournament, I don't believe that those emotional people who have not been able to understand the logic of avoiding playing in a multinational tournament in a particular country, I don't agree with that, because I think that is a really knot in which you can tie yourself, which would be difficult for you to come out, because eventually with that logic you would have to end up not playing any sport. So it would be like a case you are not punishing your enemy country, you are punishing yourself by taking an exile from all sporting events if you have decided that you will not play a particular country in any forum, because that would mean then you are not going to play him in the World Athletics Championship, and you have to tell your person or your athlete like Neeraj Chopra to come back because he may have to face Nadim there of Pakistan in the javelin final and possibly have a chance to win a gold. You may have to forego Asia Cup hockey, World Cup hockey, ICC cricket tournaments, the Women's ODI ICC World Cup, which is going to start from 30th, 5th of October you have a match, you would then pull out, and then you would have to pull out from the entire tournament even though you are the host, because what will you do if you have to play them in a knockout stage or in the semi-final or a final? So that means everywhere, if there is squash, if there is badminton, if there is tennis, if there is any sport where you have to play, then you have to just pull out. So I am not for a moment saying ki the captain or the cricket team should have asked that question to BCCI, because I think there the answer is clear. You have to play, you don't have a choice, because otherwise you have to forgo the logic and rationality, and then you become selective depending on wherever there is a social media outrage like cricket where it is a high profile game, you will be saying okay, we will not play, and then 2 months before, just after Operation Sindoor, you will be playing Junior Davis Cup or Asia Cup squash, double squash, or under 16 volleyball, because people are not watching, people are not outraging, there you play. So that kind of hypocrisy and double standard we should avoid. So my stand is clear. India should have played and India should play, and India has done the right thing. But what question which is most rational a Surya Kumar Yadav or Indian team should have asked BCCI is, how come we have to play this match against Pakistan, which was completely avoidable, because at a group stage we are not supposed to be in the same group, because it is humanly impossible that in every tournament, be it women's cricket, men's cricket, T20 World Cup, T20 Asia Cup, ODI World Cup, ODI Asia Cup, we find Pakistan and us in the same group, because every legitimate tournament in every proper sport where the grouping is done based on draw of lots. FIFA World Cup happens with so much transparency, with so much use of computer as well as human people, great experts coming or the ex-legends coming and trying to do a draw of lots, so that it is absolutely transparent that there is no manipulation. Same happens with tennis when ranking decides for the opponents in the Grand Slam. Same happens with hockey, same happens with basketball, same happens with volleyball. But why in cricket this is happening? And also it is a new phenomena. It's a phenomena which has started after India became the financial hub of cricket, where money is flowing if India and Pakistan are playing. Because till 1983 it was Australia and England who had the monetary and the administrative power. But if you see, neither in 79 nor in 83 England and Australia were the arch rivals who could generate the kind of interest and money. They were placed in the same group. They had some at least integrity and some ethics while making the groups. They were doing it in a completely different manner. So England and Australia never got to play in the group stage in the World Cups then in 79 and 83, because that time they were the Pakistan and India world cricket, because that's where the money was there, that's where the interest was there. And in 83, in 79, India and Pakistan were not in the same group. Of course, India and Pakistan didn't have the financial power, especially India didn't have. But even in 87, when India organized, but because that type of glaring manipulation was not happening and BCCI was still not so cash rich to give everything a damn, they had some understanding, some fear, but they were following some protocol. Maybe they were following the great example set by Australia or England when they were conducting such kind of activities or events. So in 87 World Cup, India and Pakistan were not in the same group. And what has happened in the last 20 years is that now everywhere India and Pakistan find themselves in the group. So the first question is that if you have so much trouble, so much problem with just shaking hands with an opponent team, which is by the way not a reflection of your bonhomie or friendship with them, because that's the protocol you just do. For example, you don't have to hug them, so you could have just shaken hand. But even if you have such emotional stand you are taking, such strong views you have because you think that country is your enemy country and whoever were responsible in terrorism to kill our people, but we cannot have even the same courtesy given to the, we can't extend courtesy to the cricket players, because we don't want to see the difference between cricketers and terrorists and their army and their government and all, which is fair enough. Your emotions are running so high, but then that emotion should have made you ask BCCI, don't put us in the same group, because even by logic they are not. It's not that they have to do something extra special to keep India and Pakistan separate from the group stage. You just do a draw of lots, then also the probability of them being there is very rare, because see, Sri Lanka and India are not in the same group, Bangladesh and India are not in the same group, and it hardly happens, but every time Pakistan and India happens. And now contrast this with the European Club Championship, that is the Champions League. There, because it's still possible that a Ukrainian or a Russian club can play each other in the group stage, so there they forcibly keep them out, so they put the logic in the computer so that they are not supposed to be been together even by draw of lots. But here we have not even reached that stage. We are asking, do draw of lots, then 90% of time you are not supposed to, because it will be only a miracle if every time India and Pakistan are in the same group. But you are not doing it, you are just doing the opposite by putting India and Pakistan in the same group, so that money will keep flowing in, and BCCI is party to it. Because if BCCI raises this question, it is a legitimate question, nobody can question it, because this is how even the most transparent way it should happen. It's not happening is actually a question mark. Happening will never be questioned if it is followed properly. But today not being happening, nobody is questioning, and nobody is questioning because BCCI is not questioning. And if BCCI is really keen not to encourage playing with Pakistan, they should have said no. We will be forced to play if we reach the Super 4. We agree. If we are forced to play, then in the semi-final we will play, because otherwise there is no point in going, or final, we can understand. But why should we play in the group stage? So we allow the manipulation, and we are in fact a party to it, because we are not even raising a voice. And then we will try to do a lip service because we see the outrage in the social media, outrage among the people, and we have somehow forced upon the match because we need the money. So what we are trying to do, we are using the players as pawns and try to tell them also to do this kind of gimmicks so that it can actually douse the fire to some extent, because people are emotional. They will forget for a moment that okay, whether why we are playing, those questions will not be asked. Will be happy to see how we have been able to snout Pakistan. We refused to shake hands. We won it, and we refused to shake hand, and we gave some very motherhood statements. So maybe BCCI, and to some extent even if the captain is telling these things, so he cannot be excused being as naive. He has to be taking the responsibility that he should have the courage to ask question. He cannot now shy away saying, okay, ask this question to BCCI. He should have asked this question to BCCI, saying in no way we are going to play if they are in the group stage, because this is purely without logic. But I believe this is where intent comes to play. This is where I see some kind of a lack of honesty in BCCI, or even the captain's press conference, when it is said that okay, we didn't shake hands because we are so patriotic and we are feeling so outraged by that terrorist action against our innocent civilians and just for the sake of our army. I think it sounds good, it sounds decent, but it should have been backed by a much bigger question, and then I could have had much more empathy with the stand taken and support for the stand taken, and I would have believed that yes, there is genuine honesty in that statement. Unfortunately, I am not convinced that that is the case. Thank you.